Hey, this is William Steele. I'm CEO of Westman Media. Just spending a late night here at the New York VR conference. It's not started yet; it will start tomorrow. But you can see that I'm here, and I've got a nice setup. I've actually got a MacBook Pro running parallels hooked up to my Akitio Node eGPU, running a GeForce GTX 1070. So this took a while to get ready and to get working, but I've actually got it, believe it or not, also working with my HTC Vive. So it took a little bit of coaxing, but there were a few things, two important things. One, you need the Mac OS set EFI, boot EFI, to actually get to be able to boot with the eGPU plugged in, with the NVIDIA card plugged in, and boot with it into boot camp. You need that, but you also need the, if you want to be able to use your integrated display at the same time, you're going to need also your what is it? It's GPU switch, and that's another little app, and you just run a script. So basically, I learned a couple of things from this. I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, late 2016, and one of the keys to actually getting this thing working was don't use it. You don't need to disable anything actually at all. Just don't connect to the Thunderbolt ports on the right side. If you plug anything into the right side Thunderbolt ports, there's not enough onboard resources. There's some workarounds for it, but I think it's a bit of a headache. So just don't use the Thunderbolt ports on the right side. If you use only the ones on the left side, you're perfectly fine. So that's what I'm doing. You can see I've got just both a USB 3 hub adapter by J5 Create, and I've got my Thunderbolt connected to the back of my Akitio Node, as you can see right there, and I have the output going to my HTC Vive. And everything's hooked up, and it actually works. So let's just take a look, so you can actually, because this took me days to figure out. Probably more time than I should have spent. I probably should have been doing other things for this conference, but just to show you that this does indeed, in fact, work. This is just gonna be a little quick and dirty, but let me just tighten that up. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go to, let's see if I can get if I can get a better view of everything here, just so you can get a better view of what. Well, we'll just stick with that screen right there, because I can see the things I get to. But I've got SteamVR installed and running. You can actually see, if I go to device, if I go to my display settings, you'll actually see NVIDIA control panel actually will show up, and it'll show my my NVIDIA card here. This doesn't really tell me much, but you can see I've got a GeForce GTX 1070 in here, and it's running in conjunction with my integrated, I don't know if you can see that, but it's running in conjunction with my integrated Intel graphics card, and it's actually working. So let's do some fun. Let's do some HTC Vive. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to actually display mirror onto here, which I think will be kind of fun. So we've got my display mirror going, and I'm going to go into the Vive, and let's see if I can set this up so you can see. I don't think I can switch my camera live, unfortunately. I don't feel like editing this later, so I'm just going to keep the selfie mode here. And I'm going to come around. We're going to get the Vive going, and you'll actually see a Vive running off of my MacBook Pro 2016. It's an iCore 5. And the great thing is, it's light. And it's, I mean, yeah, you could get a laptop maybe with enough horsepower, but the nice thing is you can have this eGPU hooked up and not have to lug it around everywhere and just leave it at home when you want to do your renders and everything else. So you can see I'm actually putting on my headset now. Not going to bother with the headphones right now. I think that's a little unnecessary. So I can see what I'm doing. I can't, but show you back there. Let's unplug that guy. Thank you. So good day. So these headphones. All right. Just put this on so that we get a good, better view here of what's going on here. This is a little finicky. Let's see if I can give you a better view of what's happening here. Oops. Let's tighten that. Production quality on this video is going to be a little bit lacking. There we go. Okay, so see the move. It's moving with me. So this is actually working, and actually the quality ended up being quite good. So I can go in. I can use the Steam VR room, which is what I'm doing right now. I've got my trackers all set up around me, and I can, let's see, what am I going to look at now? So in this particular mode, it's a little funny. I guess I could go to some kind of game or something and play, but I'm not going to bother to do that right now. I mean, I could. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go into some details. Actually, yeah, I could go to something. Let's see. Steam. How do I get to my? I'll go back. I should be able to go to my applications somehow here. I don't want to do that. I want to do. How do I go to my stuff? Oh, there we go. Okay, my library. Okay. One thing I noticed is when I run WebVR, things get a little finicky, so it's a little jumpy, more than I would like. But let's do the Microsoft Itself brush. I'll play that. That'll be fun. Oopsie. All right. I can get ready to play it. So it should start up in a minute. I'm assuming it's loading. Let's see here. There we go. Something's happening. I'm assuming it's loading. I think this stuff takes a little while to load. Oh, by the way, I'm also running this off of an external SSD hooked up via USB. So I'm actually running Boot Camp off of an external SSD, which is actually really cool. So I don't have to have it installed and eat up the memory on my super fast SSD. The external one's plenty fast enough, although maybe that's why it's taking a little while to load up. Oh, there we go. Now something's happening. So I can actually. So another thing that I noticed is actually the output. If it supports, stretching it so you can see it, it's got to be supported in the game. So here you go. I can draw some stuff. I can do my thing here. Yeah, I can swipe it, go between my different controls, select another control here, do a rainbow thing. Got it. Nice little draw, like a little rainbow. So it works. I haven't played any super intense games, but obviously there is going to be a little bit of what do they call it? There's going to be a little bit of you're going to lose a little bit of the GPU's horsepower, about 10% probably over USB 3. But I love the fact that my MacBook, this tiny little thing, can actually handle this. I want to actually get an Intel Nuke box next, so I don't have to run Boot Camp on my Mac. I mean, it's fine actually. But anyway, as you see, HTC Vive running on a MacBook Pro in Boot Camp. So why did I do this? I ended up doing this because I was a little bit frustrated with the fact that I went out and bought the Kidio Node with the foresight that I'd be able to use it with an eGPU. But I also, when Apple announced that they had their, their dev kit coming out for VR, and that was going to support native eGPUs natively in OS X Sierra, or High Sierra specifically. I thought, great, this is wonderful. But the issue ended up being it only supports AMD cards right now, and the support for NVIDIA cards is a little bit unknown. And even if you did get support in it, the VR development experience is not going to be exactly the same. I got to be able to develop VR applications. So the experience will be the exact same in Windows as it is in Mac, especially because of it's not fully supporting the essentially the Pascal set of GPUs by NVIDIA, i.e. the GTX 1070. The AMD doesn't have any real viable alternatives. They run hotter, they use a lot more power, and they're just not as good. The NVIDIA cards are just better cards. There's some exceptions to that, obviously, in terms of what you're using it for. Since I'm using it for VR, I'm not concerned about video editing and rendering video so much. I think for me, this is the right setup. So it was a headache, but if you have any questions, if you've got a MacBook Pro, please feel free to ask me how to get this up and running, because it was a headache for me. It literally took me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days of screwing around and reading bits of information from different blogs and trying to actually figure out what was going to be the right way. What was going to be the right way to make this work. And I eventually figured it out. And yeah, you can see here I'm set up at the New York VR conference. Well, the New York VR Expo in New York City. You know me, I actually run my startup off of a boat in New York Harbor in Jersey City. And I'm here. Where's My Media is my startup. And I'll be demoing my apps here at this conference tomorrow and the day after. So that'll be Friday, October 27th and Saturday, October 28th. I'll be exhibiting here. So you can see there's a few other guys here. This is the New York City Media Lab Incubator Zone, graciously sponsored by New York City Media Lab, and pretty excited to actually be exhibiting here, and excited to see what else comes out of it. Going to be demoing some cool things. Yeah, so come over here to booth 626 in the Incubator Zone, and I look forward to seeing everybody. Cheers. Bye.